For decades, we've been told that the world's power and wealth are concentrated in the West, that Washington, Brussels, and Wall Street set the rules for everyone else. But look closer today, and something remarkable is happening. A tectonic shift in power is underway, not quietly but in full view. Asia, home to half of humanity and some of the fastest-growing economies, is stepping back into the role it once played, a central force in global affairs. The recent Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Tianjin, China, is perhaps the clearest sign yet of this transformation. Imagine this: over 20 heads of state gathering under one roof, including Chinese President Xi Jinping, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Leaders who represent not just nations but civilizations with thousands of years of history. That's not just a meeting, it's a statement. And here's where I want to pause for a moment. If you're finding this perspective valuable, please hit that like button and consider sharing this video with friends who are also curious about these shifts in world politics. It helps a lot, and it keeps discussions like this alive for more people. Now, back to the summit. It wasn't just about China, India, and Russia. For Iran, this summit was historic. Its president attended for the first time as a full member of the SCO. Turkey's President Erdogan also showed up, even if only as an observer. All of this signals something important. Asia is building structures and alliances that extend far beyond its immediate region. To understand why this matters, we need to step back in time. For centuries, China and India were the world's economic powerhouses, accounting together for more than half of global output. Only in the last 200 years, with industrialization and colonial expansion, did Europe and then the US overtake them. What we're seeing now is not the rise of Asia, but its return to historical prominence. The SCO itself, founded in 2001 by China and Russia, was meant as a regional bloc to manage security and balance NATO. But look at it now. It represents more than 40% of the world's population and about 30% of global economic output. With India and Pakistan joining in 2017, it became even more geopolitically diverse and significant. One of the summit's most fascinating storylines is the thawing relationship between India and China. Just a few years ago, after the deadly Galwan Valley clashes of 2020, relations were at their lowest point in decades. India responded by banning Chinese apps, downgrading trade, and leaning more toward the US-led Quad alliance. But fast forward to today, and the winds are shifting. Behind closed doors, quiet diplomacy has been unfolding. At the 2024 BRICS Summit in Kazan, Modi and Xi exchanged more than pleasantries. By March 2025, Xi even sent a private letter to India's president, calling for rapprochement. It wasn't just symbolic. Flights have resumed, border trade reopened, and restrictions on business visas eased. Why? Because both sides know they need each other. For India, access to Chinese exports like fertilizers, tunnel boring machines, and rare earths is critical. These are lifelines for its manufacturing, farming, and electric vehicle industries. For China, stabilizing ties with India helps counterbalance growing US hostility and secures another large market for its goods. It's what some have called a dragon-elephant tango, a mix of rivalry and cooperation. And then there's the US factor. Former President Trump's policies hit India hard. He insisted countries pick sides, slapped tariffs as high as 50% on Indian exports, and accused New Delhi of funding Russia's war machine by buying discounted oil. These were extraordinary accusations, especially given that China, Russia's biggest oil buyer, faced no such penalties. Many in India saw this as not just unfair, but a direct insult to its sovereignty. So India has doubled down on its policy of strategic autonomy. It won't let Washington or anyone else dictate its foreign policy. The tariffs, painful as they are, have only strengthened India's resolve to diversify its partnerships. That's why Modi is engaging not just with the US, but also with China and Russia, and by extension with platforms like BRICS and the SCO. And this is a good moment for me to ask you directly. What do you think of India's balancing act? Is it smart diplomacy, or does it risk spreading itself too thin? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you see this strategy playing out. Speaking of balancing acts, let's look at the different blocks India is juggling. First, BRICS. Unlike the Quad, BRICS is delivering tangible results. Members are experimenting with new payment systems, national currency trade, and even the idea of a digital BRICS currency. These aren't just ideas on paper, they're responses to sanctions, dollar dominance, and Western pressure. India's participation keeps BRICS from tilting too much toward either China or Russia, ensuring it remains multipolar. Compare that with the Quad: India, the US, Japan, and Australia. On paper, it looks like a powerful grouping. But in practice, no permanent secretariat, no common military doctrine, no unified China policy. For many observers, it's all symbolism, very little structure. India has always been cautious about turning the Quad into an anti-China alliance. That's why Modi's visit to China, just weeks after signing tech deals with the US, sends a clear message. India won't be boxed in. At the SCO Summit, India's presence alongside Xi and Putin told the world that Asia doesn't have to choose sides. It can build its own networks, design its own trade systems, and resist being pulled into the West's binary view of the world. This is also why countries like Iran are eager to join. They want access to these parallel structures, whether for energy, finance, or trade, that bypass Western sanctions and controls. Russia, too, is adapting. Cut off from Europe, it's courting Asia with projects like the Power of Siberia 2 gas pipeline to China. India and Russia are discussing new energy deals as well, though the details are still hush-hush. So where does this all lead? On one hand, the potential is enormous. Imagine a truly multipolar world where no single bloc dictates the rules. On the other hand, these groupings face challenges of cohesion. The SCO and BRICS are big tents, with competing national interests under the same roof. If India keeps hedging and others keep pulling in different directions, progress could stall. But one thing seems clear: the US's role as the predictable anchor of the global system has been shaken. Punitive tariffs, inconsistent policies, and a willingness to punish both friends and foes alike have left many countries looking for alternatives. Even if future administrations try to repair these ties, trust has already been eroded. The bigger picture is this: the so-called Asian century looks less like a prediction and more like a reality in motion. Asia's resurgence isn't hypothetical. It's happening now, in trade routes being reopened, in new financial systems being designed, and in leaders like Modi, Xi, and Putin finding ways to cooperate despite rivalries. As we look to the future, the journey will not be smooth. Rivalries will flare, and the West will continue to pressure. But the global balance of power is shifting in ways that cannot easily be reversed. The Tianjin Summit was not just a diplomatic gathering, it was a milestone in the making of a new world order. If you've made it this far, thank you for sticking with me. These are complex topics, but they're too important to ignore. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss future deep dives like this. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.